Hello everybody and welcome to The Thing I Love Most show with me, Nolh. Today, once again, I've been joined by Don. Welcome back, Don.
Thanks for having
Matt.
me. Thank you very much.
I'm a little bit worse for wear, so I do apologise if I have no idea what I'm talking about. It was a bit of a late one afterwards, obviously celebrating an amazing victory. 11 goals in the past few days, actually. It wasn't even like the first few games, it's literally like incredible.
3 days.
Let's cast our mind back to the Everton game. I went to the Everton game last year and we won quite comfortably 3-0. I didn't really think it was going to be that easy this year. I thought we started quite brightly and then they got a sort of goal against the run of play, which was quite frustrating. Yep. But I think with this team at the moment, one, it doesn't seem to faze them. And two, I don't have any worries. Do you know what I mean? In terms of like when they go 1-0 up, I'm thinking that we can outscore them. You know, we've got the ability to score in every game. And they're obviously making chances already. And it was just, I felt really comfortable by going 1-0 down away at a decent top 10 side, which is like, that's unheard of.
I completely agree with you. There was talk post-match of Marcus Silva saying, disallowed goal by...
Calvert-Lewin.
By Lewin.
Which was, it was a good goal.
It was a good goal.
Yeah.
But if that had gone in, I still think we would have won the game. Just that on the basis of how we played. I still feel like we would have won that game.
I know you talk about ability, Nolh, but I think it's more mentality. I think nowadays, I mean, we're probably of a generation, aren't we, where we know the Spurs of the past that would have just capitulated, but we just don't do that anymore under Poch, do we? He's got that mentality, and there's a stat flying about under Pochettino since he's been at Spurs. Spurs have got the most wins and the most amount of points from losing positions of any club in the Premier League. So it's a testament to the mentality that he brings.
But there wasn't any until this season, which was quite interesting. And they were talking about that stat. The fact that we'd been literally like behind in every other game, and then when we had, we'd lost. And this was the only one, and obviously it came back.
You're right, though. Exactly what you're saying. Like we go 1-0 down, and even probably might have gone 2-0 down, and you still don't think we're out of it. That's what we like nowadays.
And they don't. I mean, obviously against Burnley, we're a little bit desperate. We're in long ball. We put Llorente on, but that was getting really, really close to the end. But if we go 1-0 down after 20 odd minutes, they just keep on playing, just keep on probing, and the chances will come. And obviously, the chances did come. Another great performance from Son. 2 in a week now, and I think it's quite frustrating now. The fact we are going to lose him for some of January and Feb because of the Asia Cup. So it's annoying because he does seem to be like hitting like the peak form.
Yeah. You can't not have him in the team at the moment.
At all. Every time he gets the ball, you just think he's going to do something. Whether it's score a goal or set something up or just make a run. But that goal, that first goal, the equaliser against Everton. He kind of got himself. He was going wider and wider, and it was the angles. That wasn't easy to do, was it?
Not easy.
No. I don't think he's been given enough credit for that shot. And obviously, it was an open goal, but to kind of
incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, just following on from that, the Fab Four. That's where it's at the moment.
Yeah, definitely.
That is where it's at. You can't if all 4 of them are playing.
Yeah.
It's chaos for any team.
Yeah.
No Premier League team's going to want to play us with those 4
dropping in. I mean, Eriksen's dropping deep.
Yeah.
Son's just popping
season.
up all over the place.
Yeah.
And if they're not playing and someone's sort of replacing one of them, in the case of Moura for Ali in the Bournemouth game, it doesn't matter. It seems like the other two, the Lamella and Moura, seem to be able to slot in.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
To that situation.
But they're not as good. They're not up there.
No, you'd rather have those 4, wouldn't you?
You would rather want you'd want the 4, but
there's a cohesion. There's a sort of just telepathy with them.
Oh,
you can tell.
I mean,
with Kane and Ali and Son and Eriksen, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, that's how many years now? 3-4 years?
It's been a while, isn't it?
Of them playing together, and you can see it.
Yeah.
It's just there for everybody to see.
Yeah.
It's a joy. It's more.
Yeah. It was a crazy Christmas. I mean, I know one expected 6, but I mean, even the second half, it seems to sort of like plough through them again. It was just really, really easy. I suppose when I did see the Everton team sheet, I was thinking, where's the defence in terms of the defensive midfielder? They had Davies and they had Gomez, and none of them are particularly defensive. And so I'm just thinking that's just, they're just going to be able to get through them. And even centre-backs, Zuma and Keane, they're not amazing.
I think Zuma's going to have nightmares about that game. Like seriously, he's going to have nightmares for a few months. I noticed post-match that he ran over to Son to say like,
Oh, really?
yeah, he did after the match. He was like
interesting.
a hug as well, like.
Wow.
I need some of whatever you've got.
Well, that's what he was going to ask.
Well, this is it. But I mean,
Maybe he wanted him to say sorry.
He was tormented the
He wanted
entire
an apology. Maybe he wanted to feel nice about himself.
I felt sorry for Pickford slightly because
No, he went through on Ali.
yeah, I did. I think it was the frustration at the end of getting so many goals. His defence was. I mean, with no disrespect to Everton, they're a good team, but they are. In terms of the signings they've made, they haven't gelled. You can see it hasn't quite worked out for him.
But he made a mistake himself. He ran out. He didn't need to run out.
No.
No.
So
that was his mistake.
Yeah, definitely.
And then he went in on Ali, which was a terrible challenge. It was lucky that it didn't really catch him.
I think for Pickford, the night was summed up. That summed up his frustration of where it's all built up to. But for Marcus Silva, I think he needs to go back to square one because he's been schooled tactically. I mean, funny enough, isn't it funny that the game afterwards they go away and smash in.
One of them 5-1.
It's like they've seen the blueprint.
Yeah, this is how you do it.
The DVD was us being them.
Yeah.
Watch this, guys. Do what they do.
Maybe that's what Zuma was asking Son. How'd you do it?
Well, the thing is, Everton. It's almost like Silva's like, let's go toe to toe with Spurs. And look, no disrespect to Everton, with the form we're in and the players we've got, you just don't do it, do you? That's not.
He got burnt.
Yeah, absolutely.
He got burnt, definitely.
I mean, maybe earlier in the season, possibly that tactic could have worked, but we're hitting so many of our players are hitting purple patches at the moment that this is the wrong time. I know obviously Everton are at home, so they can't play the 10 men behind the ball against us, and it's not their style anyway. No. But it was almost like we're both going to attack and let's just see who wins. And that against us, the way we're playing, it was only going to be one result, wasn't it?
I mean, frustratingly, the 2 goals that we conceded were also like really poor goals to concede. Well, like the Winks header, we completely missed it, and then he sort of got sucked out. Sanchez got sucked out, and then the second one, Sigurdsson's one, Lloris has to save that. It was
almost like he was trying to guess it out, wasn't he?
That was a poor. So, but obviously, we still concede 2 poor goals, yet we win handsomely. So, can't be a bad thing.
And talking about their mentality and how we feel nowadays as well. When that second goal went in, I think there was still a small part of me thinking, "Oh God,
you are a Spurs
please!"
Fan, come
on. No, exactly. You can't not be a Spurs fan, can you?
Yeah.
And the 5th goal, I did over celebrate that 5th goal because there's like relief that we've got that gap back now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I did think when it went 4-2, you're thinking, oh man, like the Arsenal, the Villa games that we've had 4-4, you're thinking it's possible, but
And they were obviously with them being at home, and I think that's what we did well. Like they scored that second goal, and then obviously they're going to have all the fans behind them. But we kind of just nullified the game, didn't we, for a little while, and killed off their kind of because they could have easily just with the fans behind them just started attacking. But we almost like lifted a gear up, like moved up to another gear, and was like, right, let's just nip this game in the bud again.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So, another great victory yesterday on, what day is it? I'm losing track now.
It's Thursday.
It's Thursday today.
Yes, 27th today.
Okay, so Boxing Day was yesterday.
Yes, yeah. It all fuses into one.
It does.
It all fuses into one.
So, Boxing Day, and it was again very, very comfortable. And I think it was strange. I actually watched the game again on Match of the Day this morning, and they actually had some decent chances. The Fraser header and the Brooks one-on-one with Lloris, which he sort of just half missed. They were decent chances before we really got going. And then obviously we benefited from the deflected start, and then we sort of went on from there. I did say before the game that Kyle Walker-Peters was going to get man of the match and get an assist. No one seems to remember me saying it, but I did. Frustratingly thought Trippier was going to start, so I put Trippier in my fantasy league team, and then Kyle Walker-Peters goes and does that. But really pleased for him. I think he deserves a lot more opportunities than he's getting. I think he offers sometimes more than Trippier in terms that he's got the pace to get in behind the defence. I think Trippier sometimes is afraid to do that because he's not that quick, and so he prefers to just whip it in, which obviously can work. But I think to have that pace like we used to have with the whole Walker-Rose tandem, I think is great. And he's young. He's obviously recently just signed a contract. He's hungry. I think he's a real find.
A fantastic talent. It's great to see our players come in from the academy and make their way up. That's our unique selling point, our USP at Spurs. And hearing Poch's post-match interview when asked about Kyle Walker-Peters, that he has, unlimited trust in his ability. Obviously, after the Barcelona game, everyone was a little bit like, is he going to make a mistake? If we're looking at young players, him and Foyth, it's almost like chalk and with Foyth. I worry a little bit sometimes. Like there is a mistake that will lead to a goal. With Kyle Walker-Peters, he just seems, really calm. He can obviously they make mistakes. They all make mistakes, but he just seems like he's slightly more level-headed. Two different positions, but I'm just talking about.
No, that's true.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I don't know if you was talking about the match of the day highlights. They didn't show it on the highlights, but in the second half, I don't know if you remember it, but they looked like a stonewall penalty. He's brought one. I can't remember the play he brought down, and I remember just my heart stopping and going, it's a penalty. And the referee, I think he was quite lenient actually yesterday. The ref, he let a lot go, and I remember just him letting play go and just sort of turning around, going, I can't believe that he hasn't given that. Like I would have had no complaints if it had been a penalty. Right. And I think that's the thing with Foyth. Like he done very well. Like he had a very good game, but he's just prone to that. I don't know if it's like a switch off of concentration or if he's so laid back that it causes that. But he just seems to be making silly mistakes, and I'm hoping it's just because of his age, and it's something that Poch can work on. But you're right with Kyle Walker-Peters. I wouldn't say he looks the finished article, but there seems to be so much positive about his game, and he doesn't seem to make those mistakes. Like you say, I know he got the yellow card at Barcelona, but if anything, that game probably, that put so much experience in the bank for him, didn't it? So
yeah, our players have learnt from that.
Yeah,
Winks has learnt from that game. Yeah. I think there's an additional belief throughout the whole squad after the Nou Camp game.
I agree,
and it's sort of transcended into the games we're seeing now.
Yeah. And Winks and Sissoko seem to be like the real deal now in the centre mid. They both, again, yesterday played brilliant games.
Sissoko is, honestly, he's one of those players now where he's the best player, almost the best player on the pitch every game. And I actually almost feel him, I know he was bad, but I feel embarrassed for myself in the past. Like
he was being played out of position, and I think that's something we always need to talk about.
That's true.
Because he's a centre midfielder, and he was like, he was playing out right wing. He's not a right winger.
But you say that, Nolh, but he played at fullback recently, and he was he had a good game. Genuinely, if I could talk to myself 6 months in the past and tell me how good Sissoko, you'd be like, no, you're drunk.
Not even 6 months. If you went back 3 months.
Oh dear.
And you said to yourself,
it's incredible.
Which players are leaving Spurs in January?
Yeah, I'll be happy for him to go.
And most people would say have said Sissoko, but he's more or less the first name on the team sheet.
Absolutely.
At the moment,
so good.
you can't see the team without him.
Dembele, when he comes back from injury, it's going to be interesting.
The funny thing is as well, just as we're on the Sissoko subject, when I look at him now, obviously when you've had 2 games, you scored 6, you scored 5, you go back, you put your Sky, you've recorded the game, so you watch like the goals, but you watch the build-up before, and he's involved in, against Bournemouth, he's involved in most of it.
Oh yeah,
he did
definitely.
Against Everton, he did a 1-2, I think, with Lamella for Son's goal.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just, I sort of had to look twice because I thought that was what Dembele did.
Yeah.
That is what Dembele used to do.
Yeah.
And when you see him, live, up close and personal, he's a big dude. And so the fact that he's making these runs, you'd get out of the way. I think if I was with him,
it's a freight train.
Yeah.
It's the partnership, as you said, Winks and Sissoko.
Yeah.
Is
that Winks pass to Walker-Peters for
it's just phenomenal.
The Moura goal was class.
It kind of, I hate, touching wood but it's at that point where that's the partnership I see. It's got a bit of everything for me. It's got pace. It's got strength. They know how to tackle.
Yeah.
I think it allows Winks to think more creatively.
Yeah, sure.
Creative-wise,
Yeah.
He very rarely passes back, which is really good. He's very much on the turn, looking forward. He obviously sometimes passes sideways, but a lot of the time now, he is either driving forward himself He does seem to be running into space, maybe, benefiting from Sissoko doing that as well. But then he is looking for that forward pass. And that little chip over to Walker-Peters for the Moura goal.
Oh,
was
amazing.
a good example of that.
With Wanyama and Dembele to come back. I mean, what happens when they reach football?
It's a difficult one with those, though, isn't it? Because both of them are, it sounds like they've got reoccurring injury problems. And I wonder whether, genuinely wouldn't be surprised if this is like both of them, this is their last season.
I think Dembele's was a bad ankle sprain. You could tell it was like a horrible injury. That wasn't.
I think the things with Dembele, it's his style of play. He was always one of them. He's always one of them players that he's always getting nibbles, isn't he? So I think he was always going to have these injuries. And I think maybe it's a case of his age and all these sort of tackles that he's receiving. That he's at the point now where, is he going to ever be that player that we knew and loved? A couple of seasons ago.
I completely agree with you. He puts his body on the line.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't say it's a stupid thing to do, but when he receives the ball, his first thought is to make the opposition look stupid.
Yeah.
Rather than just pass it, he was like, right, come to me.
And they couldn't get it off him, could they?
Yeah, and you're never going to get off me, but I'm going to make you look silly, and then I'm going to do a pass to there. Like a foot away.
Yeah.
And there's no need to draw that player in when you could have just made the pass.
I think he's lost a yard of pace. In the past year or so. Notably, I think that Man United game was quite a big sign last season in the semi-final where he gave away the 2 goals. It's like, it's definitely not the player he was. And he's been amazing for us. But
it's even like talking about Sissoko, I've almost forgotten about Dembele with the way Sissoko's playing. It's like he's playing that well, isn't he? That
he's doing exactly what Sissoko's doing exactly what Dembele brought to the team when he was at his best. And let's not forget as well, he hasn't scored, and that's Dembele didn't score either. So
yeah.
It's the same
exactly.
of.
He was never known for his score.
I know badly. I want him to score.
I think someone needs to tell him that the goal that you have to put the ball under the post, the crossbar as opposed to above.
Was it with the fourth goal where it seemed like the whole crowd at Wembley turned and was like, shoot. I think it was after the 4th goal. It was like, we want him to score now.
Of course,
we want him to score.
He's it's literally gone full circle with the fans now, and he's like become a cult figure almost in terms of like, everyone loves him.
Yeah, I was going to say, Nolh, a few months ago, it was ironic, we don't need...
Bale,
we've got Sissoko. And it was an ironic one. Now, we're actually singing like the O Musa Isev Dembele Sissoko, and it's a genuine song for him. It's not a Mickey taking one. It's actually, we love him now. We loved him in the past, but it was almost like a jovial thing. But now it's become, and I think the chant has changed to reflect just how important he is to the club now.
I think football fans are, especially Tottenham football fans, are learning a lot this year. We're learning not to jump the gun with any player, because you don't know, that player can turn good. I'm not saying I wouldn't be surprised, but there are players that I wrote of ages ago, and now it seems like they're right there in the mix. So we're learning. We're learning that money doesn't solve everything. Start of the season, we would have said we need players. We don't need players. January is 2 weeks away. Who do you want to sign? I don't care.
Yeah, we're fine.
Honestly, right about now, just, on the DSI group, it would be, people will be sending stuff, mirror reports, rumours. Yeah. It would all be about this time now. People would be like, what do you think of this?
Yeah.
Sending through their VTs of these players that, were supposedly on the verge of signing.
What is going on with Janssen, by the way, talking about? Is he alive? Anyone seen him?
He's not got a squad number, has he?
He's not got a squad number, and obviously, Poch kind of more or less said that's it.
Really?
Yeah. At the beginning of the season, Poch said, in without saying it, he's never going to play for us again.
I think Danny Rose,
which is a shame, because you'd almost think that if it was just an injury that could come back in Jan, and he'd been out and maybe training with the first team. Look what's happened to Sissoko.
Exactly.
I
still think he's got potential.
There is potential. I wouldn't even write him off. That's how.
But But I was going to say, like Danny Rose said in an interview recently, didn't he, that Pochettino said to him, look, you need to focus, and you either committed or go. He said, leave for another club. And I get the feeling that he's probably said that to Janssen as well. And instead of Janssen taking it the way Danny Rose has taken it, he's taken it, well, all right then, I'll find another club then.
It is difficult with Kane, obviously, the fact he is the number one striker. It's hard for players to come in and fill that mode. And obviously he did try for that year, but it didn't work out. And so I suppose now he probably does want to try and better himself because he doesn't seem to have worked.
Without sounding too dark on Llorente, I think Llorente, I don't know, Janssen's not better than Llorente. He's not. He's probably, Llorente's a more experienced striker.
Yeah.
He's been there and done that. But Janssen probably has the ability to become a better player than Llorente. It's
I
a
think
shame.
Llorente's done well this season, to be honest. I think he's done well in the games that he's played. When he's come on and against West Ham in the Cup, he was good. When he came on the other day against Burnley, he's a handful. Obviously, we go more direct, but his touch is pretty decent.
Yeah, very good, very good. When you've got Ryan Babel playing for the Netherlands, you know there's always a chance. Vincent Janssen, there's always a chance.
Oh, I love it. I think, Matt, if you could go back and tell yourself 6 months' time, I think you should tell yourself not to get on the coach to Toulouse.
You had to bring that up, didn't you? You had to bring that up.
That makes sense. When he came over to meet us yesterday, we were saying to everyone, don't mention Toulouse, don't mention Toulouse. Brian gets up, he's like, oh, do you enjoy the coach? It's like the first thing. So anything else to mention on the Bournemouth game? Obviously, Son again in the goals, just proving what just a bonus he is to have in the side. And his scoring record for us is phenomenal.
I think Son aside, the other thing I wanted to mention was Moura, because a big shout out to him, because we know he's not. We had this out, I think, the last couple of shows where we talked about his level of contribution in the final third. We know that he can do it. We're starting to see the benefits of that now. We saw it against the Gooners, where he won the header for the second goal. He seemed to be battling a lot more.
Yeah. I think it takes time to adjust, and he's, the French league, I think, is quite weak in that respect. Yeah. You get more time on the ball, the players aren't as good. But I think he's got great ability. I just think when he does get in those final thirds, it's almost like sort of the goal yesterday, he didn't really have much choice because it was a very good pass. It was coming to him. I think if it was the ball at his feet, he might not have done so well. I think sometimes he's not as quick mentally to come up with a decision, but I think he's learning, and he's I'm pleased for him. Yeah,
and being at the game yesterday, you see a lot of things that you don't tend to pick up on television, and you can see how much effort he puts into the game as well.
Yeah,
it's
sure.
not all about.
Yeah, he's a runner, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And he really puts a lot in, and I think it goes back to the sort of the mentality and the application that I was talking about with Janssen. I think with some players, they're obviously they're taking on board what Poch's philosophy, and it might sound harsh, mightn't it? Like, you either ship up or go. And the ones that are actually going with him, you're seeing the benefits of.
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference between them, and then you look at other players like maybe Janssen and Kudu and some of the others that are on the fringe. And I think they've all of them have got the talent, but I think it's what they're willing to put in is a difference between where they are and where they could be.
Yeah, where they see their football sometimes. And Cooley's a good example. I saw an article with him when he first came to Spurs. He thought that he had to impress the manager with mazy runs and sort of game runs. And Pochettino said, "What are you doing?
Yeah,
what are you doing? You've got to defend.
Yeah.
That's like the first and foremost thing I want you to do." So it's what you want out of it as a player, I think, versus what Pochettino is asking you to do.
So I think it's time for a change to actually talk about potential. I'm not going to say title because, I think it might be a little bit of a stretch. But, obviously City recently have shown signs of real crumbling, which is I wouldn't have called that at all. And so obviously it puts us in second place with two reasonably, on paper, decent games coming up. They have two difficult games. So where are you sort of thinking we are at the moment in terms of our sort of level and performance? Do you think that we are deserving of that second spot? I mean, the thing was, at the beginning of the season, we were still getting the results, but the performances weren't there. Now, since the Chelsea game, obviously the performances seem to kick on, as we do most seasons. I think it's a fitness-related thing. I think Poch really sort of drums it into them that they need to keep up. And then I think at this time of year, normally over Christmas, we start to really push on, and we're seeing that again, basically.
We've had so many obstacles in our way over previous seasons, and the main thing this season was lack of signings and the new stadium. That sort of clouded our clear vision of where we should sit in the league. We are where we are because of what we've achieved. We haven't drawn a game. We won a lot of games, and some of them I'd say potentially at the beginning of the season we were probably lucky to win, but there is an element of luck in winning the league. Everyone knows that.
Of course, yeah.
Do you think if we were at the new stadium from the Liverpool game, we would have got better results against Liverpool and Man City, and therefore almost maybe even been top?
Oh, it's hard to.
Because away we've been smashing it. Away we're like unbelievable. So it's obviously. I mean, the games that were difficult. Obviously, we had Watford away, the Arsenal match, which was just I think more fatigue than anything else. I think we really struggled with the Chelsea and then the Inter match. And then obviously the home match against Liverpool, which we just didn't turn up, and it was terrible. Worst performance I can remember. And then obviously City game weren't too bad.
Could have nicked a draw at the end.
Should have maybe with a Lamella chance. So obviously not been far away, but do you think those performances would have been different at the new stadium?
I don't know. I think that there would be the same issue. I don't really think that from a player point of view, I'm not sure what the stadium's going to bring. I mean, yes, it brings a level, but we're beating teams 5-6-2.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So what else is the stadium going to do to their game? I don't think it's going to... For us, the fans, the day experience is going to be fantastic. For the players, it's more or less the same, I think.
I think the problem as well is that we talk about going home, and we are going home, aren't we? We're going back to White Hart Lane, but it's a different stadium, isn't it? I appreciate that it's the same bit of land where the old stadium was, but it's still a new stadium. So I don't think that the players would have gone to this new stadium with the same feeling as going back to the old White Hart Lane. It's a completely new stadium.
It would take time.
Of course, and that's what I'm saying. I don't think that we would, like, say you talk about the Liverpool and Man City game. I don't think we would have gone there and played like we did in that last season at White Hart Lane instantly. So I don't think it would have made. In actual fact, it could have potentially been worse. I think Kane's alluded to it recently that he says Wembley feels like home now. So I actually feel like this is more comfortable for them to play at Wembley.
Yeah, maybe for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
I mean, that's quite a harsh thing to say, isn't it? Because we all want to be back in the stadium.
We do, yeah.
There will be a period of adjustment.
If we were, let's cut to 2 months from now, and we're still in the mix. What do you? And someone, the guys that building the stadium are like, well, there you go, Mr. Levy. There's the keys, ready to move in. What do you do?
You're right. Yeah.
What do you do then?
They will go in as soon as possible.
Of course,
they will. But like you said, there will be a period of adjustment, I think. But
and you're going to get the clubs, like you're going to get every team is want to be the first team to beat Spurs at the new stadium. So it's going to give them a lift, isn't it?
Yeah.
But we had that at Wembley last season as well. I mean, it did obviously like the few Burnley results and stuff like that. There were teams that did come and sort of just try and snatch a draw.
Well, luckily we lost the first game, didn't we, against Chelsea? So we got that off our shoulders straight away.
Yeah, straight away, and then moved on. So yeah, that's true.
So where are we thinking then for the rest of the season? If you could sort of put your money,
it's hard for me to not see us being in the mix for the title. Mm-hmm. We're second in the league, 19 games. We played half the games and we're second.
And do you know what as well, Don? When that season that we pushed Leicester close, right? After 19 games, we were on 35 points when we pushed Leicester in apparent 2-horse race. We're 10 points. We've got 10 points more at the same stage.
Yes, yeah. Well, and the other thing with Leicester, I mean, I hate going over the past, but we were never at the top.
Yeah, I mean, the Goons were at the top, weren't they? Apparently it was a 2-horse race. That's why I say it with inverted commas, because we was actually fourth after 19 games. So it was never two. I know it was them that made up the fact it was a 2-horse race. But I think that was a season where we could have won it. I mean, last season Man City just destroyed the lead, didn't they? And the season before that, I don't remember us being that close. But what I'm saying is like we're 10 points above where he was in our closest season to winning it at this point. And Man City, like you say, you're talking about Man City, they're faltering. They've lost 2 of their last 3 games in the league. That's not just a blip. A team that wins a league doesn't. A team that wins a league, a blip to them is maybe a draw, a draw and defeat. Not to win, not to lose. 3 of their last 4 games.
But Liverpool don't look like losing at all.
Well, okay.
We'll see this week. We'll see. And this is the question. What are we thinking about the Arsenal game? What do we want?
Draw. That's what we want. We want a draw.
Well, I think we want an Arsenal win.
No, we want a draw because that's at a point where 6 points, we win our game, that's 4. And I like that. I prefer that.
I think we need to try and chop that lead as much as possible.
And then City have got to play them.
Insignificant. I really don't think they're going to be anywhere near us. So I think we have to want an Arsenal victory. It feels really weird to say.
No, that's the thing. I think you're probably right. The fact that it does us more of a favour for Arsenal to win, but you can't ever want an Arsenal win in any situation. Can you?
I like how Noel's thinking though, because you're thinking they're never going to trouble us anyway. So let them take all 3 points because it will benefit us.
Absolutely. Strongly believe that.
It's funny, isn't it? Because there's a few teams, when it gets to the real business end, they've got decisions to make. Last game of the season for us, say it was to go to the last game of the season, we've got Everton, and if it was us and Liverpool, Everton might just go, just do what you got to do. Just do what you got to do.
Like they did the other day.
Yeah, well, exactly. Just give it to me. That's how they're going to be like that. But then, there might be other games where, this is one of them. Arsenal, what are they going to do? Because they are kind of doing us a favour if they beat Liverpool.
If you saw their game against Brighton the other day, I don't really think they're going to trouble Liverpool.
Oh, no.
They're not a very good team. Which annoys me so much, the fact they beat us. Because it gave them this and it was like, we're such a better team. Well, how did it happen? No, but anyway, it's all good in the past. So we're thinking, so Matt, what are you thinking sort of long term then? Where would you see us?
Yeah, I'd love to say that I think we're going to win it, but I think at the moment, Liverpool, I hate to say it, I feel like it's Liverpool are the ones that are going to do it. They've done similar to us, where they've been grinding out results when they haven't been playing well, and then walloping teams when they have. And they're still undefeated, which is just incredible.
They just don't like conceding as well.
Scoring goals. Lovren.
That is what...
That's when you know that.
Yeah, that's when you know their luck's in.
That's when your luck's in.
And unfortunately, they haven't got a Steven Gerrard to slip a couple of games of the season.
Yeah.
I'm saying that Lovren can do something. I'm sure he's going to mess up at some point.
Fingers crossed. Yeah.
And then they have got the City game coming up as well. So that's obviously going to be crucial for both teams. So, interesting.
Yeah, hopefully that City-Liverpool game, I think that'll do us a favour, however it turns out.
Yeah.
So, Arsenal beat Liverpool, then City beat Liverpool, and we win our next 2 games.
Level on points.
And also as well,
Just a thought of it.
Yeah. But the thing is, well, like they've got a much better goal difference than us, like saying like 12, 13 goals. But if they do lose, they're 2, and we win, and we're scoring many goals as we're scoring at the moment, the goal difference won't be a problem, would it?
Yeah, it's I've got to the point where yesterday I'm starting to think about winning something.
Potential, yeah.
And like you say, that's the right word to use. Maybe not winning something, but the potential is there on all fronts. We're in all 4 competitions. We're still in the mix of all of them.
We're starting to believe.
But this is and the management, the rotation of the squad seems really good. It seems that he can start picking teams depending on
He's rotating the fullbacks again, which he used to do.
Which he used to do a lot, and you can see the energy is good. Sissoko he's just an engine anyways. It just seems like he's going to go on. Yeah. But, the other 2 coming back means that, say Dembele does come back and he's still with us, he could feature against Chelsea in a...
Yeah, exactly.
Those kind of games.
We need centre midfield rotation.
Which would be good.
Skip's coming along as well. It's nice for him to get another 20 minutes. So we also had news today about they extended Alderweireld's contract, which meant that he can now be bought for 25 million at the end of next season, or the end of this season, sorry. What are your thoughts on that? It's a bit frustrating, the fact now he can potentially obviously go, but if he's not going to sign one, then that was the only way of guaranteeing we were getting any money, or else we're going to have a whole sort of like scenario like we had with the one who not be named, in terms of they could have just run down.
If we win something, I think he just goes with our blessing. If he was to go, he is, for me, he's our best defender. I just see, it just seems, and we've proved it this season, where he's been the constant. Yeah. He's been the one that's been in the team all the time. It doesn't matter if, who he's partnered with, mate, he's great. So,
and I think the thing is with Toby as well, obviously, we all get presuming he's going to leave at the end of the season, but he's still giving 100% in every game. There's no, you can see with him, it's still, every game means something to him, and he's still got. And I used to think that last season, when there was all the kind of the whether Manchester United, and he used to post on social media about how much he loves us. And for me, I used to think that it was just his management or his agents doing that just to kind of keep everything kind of. But I genuinely think he does. I genuinely think he's, even regardless if he leaves at the end of the season, he's still in this moment giving 100% to us, and he's just purely focused on Spurs.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. It's just, it feels bad, like even thinking about someone as talented as him leaving. I mean, the great thing is we have got some really good, it's one of the areas that we've got no issues with.
Absolutely.
So, I think we would move on, and I think we would move on quickly. But nevertheless, you can't help but feel like, shit, man. As long as he doesn't go to a Premier League side, I wouldn't mind.
Any London club, as long as he doesn't go to...
I think Real Madrid would be a good move for him.
Go there.
I don't want him to go, but I just think it'd be... Ramos is on his way out. I think he'd fit in quite well.
So, Wolves coming up. So we're going to go over to our Wolves fan to get a preview of the upcoming fixture this Saturday.
What's going on? It's Matt from Talking Wolves. Wolves are going to play Spurs in the next few days, and I'm not really looking forward to it. Spurs have really hit top gear now. Look like they're certainly on the way to. And Wolves have been inconsistent this season. Done fantastically well considering. I know a lot of people had us down for top 4, top 6, but proper Wolves fans knew that wasn't going to be the case. I'm happy with 10th, 11th, 12th, which is where I predicted. We've had some big scalps this year. We've beaten Chelsea. Nearly got a draw against Spurs, which I thought would have been a fair result. I think 3-2 flattered Spurs. Drew in Man City, drew United away, which isn't any mean feat anymore. But Spurs are a class act now. Really good side, and they're definitely title contenders. The job that Pochettino's done there is nothing short of miraculous. But he hasn't won the Carabao Cup, so the media aren't interested. So that's what they seem to care about. Wolves going into the game. No real injury concerns from Wolves. It looks like Cavaliero's going to start with Jimenez after Traore's poor performance against Fulham. Hopefully he comes off the bench and can make an impact as he's done most of the season. Neves probably will play. He didn't play against Fulham. He was dropped. He's been inconsistent this season. Hasn't really lived up to the huge expectations that were put on him. And he's only 21, 22. So he's got a lot of time to grow into that role. But yeah, I think Wolves will be lucky to get a draw, lucky to even get a corner. Take the draw right now, but I can certainly see Spurs putting a few past us and challenging for the title.
Thank you very much for that. Good to have an opposition view. So interesting. So what are your thoughts, guys? Wolves are having a strange season. They sort of like, they started really well, into a bit of a flap, and now they're sort of like, they got a very good result against Chelsea, even though it was a little bit lucky. And now, Fulham away at the weekend, only 1-1. Fulham are pretty much the worst team in the league, I think, down there with Huddersfield. So it's an interesting one, really. Sort of where they are positioning themselves and sort of they're a good team away from home, good counter-attacking team. They actually battered Arsenal. Should have won that game. What sort of game are you expecting?
Well, if it's anything like the game that we played at their ground recently, we was comfortable at 3-0. And I know it was out of kind of, we almost capitulated. It was our own fault, really, wasn't it, with the 2 penalties? Yeah. But take those 2 away, and for me, it was a comfortable win. So, and now we're playing at home. Wembley being at home. really you'd kind of put us more of an advantage, wouldn't you? So if we're kind of performing like that at their ground, it was an evening kickoff as well, which is normally sort of plays into the hands of the home fans. So they would have been more up for it, and I guess they give it the best they could, and I guess we were too good for them. So if you can relate that to this game, then really it should be a comfortable victory for us. But you're right, they're one of these clubs where you just don't know. They can really turn it on, can't they, if they want to?
I like the manager. I like their style of play. I think they're quite attack-minded and they create a lot of chances. I think they're dangerous, but they just don't seem to have... I mean, Jimenez is doing okay, but they don't score enough for the amount of chances they create. You know, their conversion rate is terrible. I like Gibbs White. I think he's really good.
Yeah,
Definitely
I like
one
him.
for the future.
Definitely,
so
he's a good player.
He's started to come into the team more. So
Costa, what do you think of him?
Yeah, decent. Again, though, gets in the positions and sometimes doesn't have to finish. So it's it's one of those players.
Yeah.
So what are we thinking prediction-wise then, guys?
6-0.
Yes, Matt.
Why not?
Flipping hell.
Believe. I'm going to go 3-0.
3-0, okay.
Yeah, 3-0.
Matthew?
Yeah, I was sticking with 6-0. Yeah, let's have it. Yeah.
Brilliant.
We're scoring freely, aren't we?
I love it.
Quite a few past them as well.
Brilliant. I'm going to go 3-1.
You had to put the 1 in there,
Oh,
didn't you?
yeah,
You
you
just
can't
had to
help it.
do that.
Because-
No, you did. You did have to do that.
Because
you didn't want to say 2-1, which would have been your normal prediction.
Because I think
we're
we're scoring
more
freely,
goals
but
than
then
that.
I'm still not convinced at the back. No, just sorry for having an opinion. I thought that's what this was all about. I thought that's what the show was. I thought that's why we're here. I mean, unbelievable. Right, okay, Cardiff match now on New Year's Day. So I got the chance to catch up with Cardiff fan Hugh earlier on and hear what he had to say. Hi Hugh, how are we doing? Nice to see you.
Hi, Nolh. Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Yes, not too bad at all. Thank you. So great to have you back on. Thanks for joining us once again. So obviously, let's cast our minds back to the game, the scrappy 1-0 that we had with each other. What were your thoughts on that? Were you sort of happy with the way you played, or were you a bit too defensive, or what were your thoughts?
Well, when we saw the original lineup and the fact that we had 3 strikers on the bench and no recognised striker in the first 11, that was a bit of a cause for concern. I think that's the first time this season that we'd actually played without a recognised striker. Late on in the game, Bobby Reid did come on, but we were playing with the chap Patterson up front, who has since gone on to sort of assume that position as his own. Now, Patterson was actually signed from Heart of Midlothian as a right back and then played as a bit of an emergency centre midfielder last season. And now Warnock is playing him up front. So that was a bit of a surprise with the chap Josh Murphy, who's a winger that we signed from Norwich, also sort of playing up front or in a supporting role. So it was a bit of a concern. I guess overall sentiments of the game, it was 1-0, I believe, in the end. So I guess it wasn't the score that either of us predicted or the margin. So I guess given that Spurs have given a bit of a hiding to several teams at Wembley, 1-0 is at the better end.
Absolutely.
And indeed, whilst Spurs were clearly the better side, as you'd expect, there were 1 or 2 sort of skirmishes on the line as well. So there was an opportunity to nick a goal. Disappointing with the sending off. It was a red card. It was I must admit, I've not seen a challenge like that in quite some time, even in the Championship. I don't know what the rush of blood to the head was. I think it did put a lot of fear into Tottenham, the fact we went out of 10 men and there was a backlash coming, but it never emerged. So I think a fair result in the end, but there was a good away fan following. Sang for the whole game, which is always good fun as an away fan. So it was enjoyable. Weather was a bit miserable, but it was an enjoyable experience.
Yeah, it was a bit.
It was a fair result.
Okay, and then so since then, how have you sort of been performing? Have you been happy with the sort of progress? Because you seem to be. I mean, you mentioned Patterson there. You do seem to be scoring, which I know was a bit of an issue before in terms of actually having someone to put the ball in the net. So you haven't been too bad recently in terms of getting goals. Have you been happy with how the season's progressed since then?
Well, I think the measure is, are we in the relegation zone or not? And with having spent the smallest amount of expenditure in the transfer window in the summer. Was it 26 million? We have what is to all intents and purposes a championship team. So the fact that we're not in the relegation zone, albeit by 1 point, but we're outside the relegation zone, has to be seen as a positive. Given the playing personnel that we have. We prior to the Manchester United game, we'd won 4 of our last 5 games, I believe, at home. So that is undoubtedly a positive and something we need to build on. Away form has not been so great. Warnock's strategy is very much batten down the hatches and try and pick teams off on the break, which we're capable of doing. We scored at Anfield, the first team to score at Anfield since February. We took the lead at Stamford Bridge. Everton beat us by the single goal. Watford by the single goal. So whilst there have been a couple of larger score lines, the 0-0 draw with Crystal Palace a couple of days ago after they beat Man City away. So there are lots of positives, but we are realistic. So I think there'll be a bit of investment now in the January transfer window, maybe 3 or 4 signings. And if we can achieve 4th bottom come the end of season, then that'll be a successful result for us.
And what have your thoughts been on Spurs recently? They seem to have kicked onto a bit of form. Have you been impressed with their change?
Yeah, very much so. I think to be fair, when we played you last time, you'd just come off the back of the Barcelona game. And I think you could see that a few players were a little fatigued and the pitch wasn't particularly maybe in the best of condition either. But no, I have been. Son in particular has really caught the eye. And I also think there's sort of the strength in depth. Lamela and others been able to sort of come in and score as well. Kane is starting to hit form. A bit of a slow start, I think, but he's certainly coming good. I think Son's loss to the Asian Cup. I think there's a few games now in February will certainly be a loss to Spurs. I might have to get him out of my fantasy football team as well at that stage because he's been picking up the points. But no, I think Spurs are looking good, and with Man City having suffered a couple of defeats, I think still between Liverpool and Man City, but I think Spurs could probably run both the teams close.
Good to hear. And so then what were your predictions for next week then? How do you see the game going? Are you going to be more attacking than you were at Wembley?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, at home, we certainly are more attacking. I think lessons will have been learned after the Manchester United game. It was a tough time to play Man United with Solskjaer having come in and the Man United team being given a free rein to play. Given Spurs' sort of attacking style as well, I fear maybe a sort of a 3-1 defeat possibly. I think we'll score. I think we will get a goal. We do tend to score, but I think given the form that Spurs are in, I wouldn't be surprised if you put 2 or 3 goals in us. Unfortunately.
Well, I admire your honesty. It's all about being optimistic. Come on, you're not going to snatch a draw.
Well, put it this: we'll scrap and we'll battle.
Yeah.
I guess it depends whether Poch rotates the team. Maybe who he rests, who he keeps. I don't know. I mean, I'm not really familiar with the rotation practice at Spurs, but the crowd will be up for it. It's a sellout crowd. I think we'll score, and who knows? Maybe we could nick a draw. The realist in me says we'll probably lose by a goal or 2, but maybe with a fair wind and a raucous crowd, maybe we'll snatch a draw.
Good times, brilliant. Well, thank you so much for coming on again, buddy. It's a pleasure to speak to you, and enjoy the game. Enjoy the game next week, and we'll catch up soon.
Will do. Take care. Cheers, Nolh.
All the best, mate. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Thank you, Hugh. That was interesting. So, guys, what are we thinking? Cardiff, are we going to run riot? Are we going to bust them up? Or is it going to be tough? It's not an easy place to go.
It's not an easy place to go. And I think there's still a bit of fight in them. I think that's what Warnock brings to all of his team. Yeah. It's going to be tough.
Yeah. They seem to have a little bit more of a goal threat now.
Yeah, well, they're not gonna. I mean, the game at Wembley was
1-0, wasn't it?
It was 1-0. It was
horrible game.
Yeah. And he's one of those guys that doesn't forget things like that. He will just sort of mark that number and think, well, when we get them to Cardiff, we're gonna.
I think the problem is though with that is that they came to Wembley put 10 men behind the ball and hope for the draw or nick a goal. They can't do that at Cardiff, can they? They can't do that at home. So it's got to be a different game, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to go with a 2-1. I think we're an away team. That's what we do. We go to grounds like Cardiff and we beat teams.
Yeah, of course.
So that's what we do.
Yeah.
Listen to how confident we are. It's weird. I don't like it.
Why not?
We're Spurs fans. 6-0. It's just weird. Don't like it.
We beat
What's going on?
teams. That's what we do.
It's like an episode of Black Mirror or something. It's just strange. Ulterior universe.
They took the players have come out and said that they now go into every game expecting to win. That's their mentality now. Every game they just go in. We're going to win this game.
You can see that absolutely. Yeah. It's fantastic to see.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it would be that difficult. I mean, Cardiff not playing particularly well at the moment. No. And fair enough. Say Warnock's a decent manager, but for me, he's more of a Championship manager than a Premier League manager, and I don't think he's proved it enough in this league to show that he can really cut it in this league as a manager. So
agreed.
Yeah, for me, I think a nice, comfortable 3-1, 4-1. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, it's funny, but when we obviously previewed the Wolves game, Nolh just rolled off a few of their players, decent players. We haven't spoken about one Cardiff player.
Yeah, you're right.
Which kind of says
Murphy, Hoylett,
Bamba.
Only two I can think of that are doing okay. But again, I mean, if it's like chalk and cheese, if you compare their attacking front line to ours, in terms of the quality and the fact we're scoring from all over the pitch, it's not just Kane. It means there's goal threats. So I can never see us not scoring a goal in this current team, in this current setup. And then you think, therefore, are they going to score? Possibly, but I don't even think they will. I'm going to go 2-0.
Oh, not putting the one in there.
A clean sheet. Clean sheet from Nolh.
I think the thing is, it's like, we go back to the dark days and when we used to play the likes of Man United and Chelsea and they used to come to town. And for me personally, I was like, I just don't want them to destroy us too much. And I genuinely think teams like Cardiff and that now, when we come to town, feel the same.
Yeah. It's damage limitations.
Yeah, they'll be absolutely delighted if they beat us, but they're probably in their minds thinking, just don't destroy us too much. Yeah.
No, I agree with you.
Or at least see some good football.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be impressed with the players that we have. So 3-1 or 4-1, you said two scores.
Let's go 4-1. 4-1. Yeah.
10-1 in two fixtures.
Well, it's 11-2 the last two fixtures, isn't it?
That's unbelievable. Great. I hope it's true. I hope your premonitions come true. Thanks for coming on again today, guys. Absolute pleasure to have you around here. Don, thank you, Matt.
Cheers.
Thank you everyone for watching and listening. Once again, all of our handles are on the screen. So we have TTILM Show on Twitter, on Instagram. The Thing I Love Most Show is on Facebook. And of course, we're also on YouTube. If you weren't watching it already, if you were listening, we do actually have a video version of the show. So thanks very much for all your support. And we wish you a very, very happy new year. And we'll see you next week. All the best.